from civil engineer branch from Government Polytechnic, Kottagudem. So my subject I'm going to say about integrated waste management. In that, I'm going to say about the definitions and methods of disposal of municipal waste management. So, we already discussed about the composition and quantity of waste generated, and also we have seen the collection and segregation of waste management, and also we have seen the recycling and reuse of plastic, glass, paper, etc. So, in this at present, what do you mean by the composition? Composition is nothing but how much percentage of waste are present in the solid waste, how much of carbon and nitrogen is present in the waste. So, quantity means per day how much of waste was generated. It should be known. It depends upon on this only. We can manufacturing the equipment for reuse and recycling. So by that only we can get an idea how much of waste is generated per day, and then also how much impact is on the environment. That is also we can know by knowing the quantity of the waste generated. So quantity of waste generated, municipal waste composition in India approximately 40 to 60% compostable. So around 40 to 60 in between we can compostable, means we can decompose it. 30 to 50% is inert and 10 to 30% is recycling. So 30 to 50% cannot be, we can reuse it. That it will be inert material. And 10 to 30% is recyclable. 10 to 30% is recyclable. So that according to the National Environmental Engineering Research System, NERI, India waste consists of 0.64% to 0.8% nitrogen. So, how this much of nitrogen we are we are generating nitrogen 0.64 to 0.8, and 0.67 to plus 0.15% of phosphorus, and potassium is 0.68 to 0.15 potassium, and as a 26 plus or minus 5, that is the carbon and nitrogen ratio. We are producing 26, we are producing. So overall we are producing 26, tolerance of plus or minus 5. So around 26 we are producing the carbon and nitrogen ratio. So chemically inactive materials are 30 to 50% as there, and 10 to 30% only we can recycle it. So this is about the India. This much of quantity and quantity of waste generated, that was the composition of percentage of nitrogen and phosphorus. So these are generated in the waste. So that is we have seen. So by that only, by knowing the quantity only, we can assume how to take that waste and by which we have to transfer. So collection, so it should be stored at one place. Collecting means it have to be put at one place, and transferring means should have some vehicle. So depending upon that quantity, what we have assumed before that, so on that only, so this much of vehicles are required. This type of vehicle is rated means closed one and opened one, and by use of tractor or by use of cycle cart. By how we have to take the materials, and by using closed bins or how any haul containers like that, which type of is used for the storing also. This also to be known by the municipal solid waste. So collection of solid waste by external stakeholders. So it can be taken by the other persons privately. We can also behold from its various sources are from communal storage facilities. Communal storage means it can be stored at we have outside one dustbin will be there. That garbage dustbin. We can put all the households can put their one storage, that communal storage will be there. Communal storage means coming to home and taking that collecting materials and transportation of this waste to the place of final disposal. So that we are storing at a place, and that will be taken to one place where it can be safely disposed. So it also consider all activities related to loading of waste into collection vehicles and unloading of waste from the collection vehicles at a communal collection point. So um, it also activities are related to loading of waste into vehicles. So loading of waste into vehicle is also a one type of activity, and unloading of waste is also collection vehicles at a communal collection point. So all the whatever the uh, waste are there are to be collected into vehicles, and it should be that should be also disposed at a collection communal collection points. Means it will be one place will be there. There the all the waste are to be stored there. Segregation will be done. The segregation means separation of the waste particles, so that it is there, and also from there transfer to final disposal. So all the whatever the waste are there from the commercial or from the households, that will be taken to one communal place. That is a storage where the large storage are there. The communal storage are there. They will be at last from there it will transfer to final disposal. So it's the largest cost element in most municipal solid waste management, accounting for 60 to 70% of cost in industrial countries and 70 to 90% of cost in developing and transition countries. So the cost for the municipal waste is also 60 to 70% of cost is for the industrial countries, and 70 to 80 90% for the developing transition countries. So this much of cost are to be put for the waste management also. For the waste also, we are spending that much of the largest cost for the industrial countries. So we have said that collection, after the collection and after the storage at communal pot. communal place, that should be separated. What we have to separate it there, we are separating the plastic and paper and glass materials have to be separated, and which are decomposable, that should be separated. Before going to separate all this, we will just wash it out, and that washed materials will come in one it is a large farm, you can say, where this waste are to be cleaned and to be get into uh, get into for separation. So if there are impurities in the this about the plastic, where can say at where separation is to be done. In the plastic, what we will do, if there is any mm, new resistance depends upon the color. Depends upon the color of the plastic, the resins will also variate. So the hardened plastic will be lower gradient than the original one. So this plastic in turn may not be recyclable. So some of the plastic which cannot be recyclable, that should be sorted out, and it's extremely important to maintain the integrity of the finished recycled plastic. So they are to be removed from the which are not recyclable. They should be removed from the impurities. So disadvantages of plastics are it is flammable. This is definitely an advantage in that they cannot be melted down. However, so we cannot melt plastic. So smoldering plastic can release toxic fumes into environment. So if we make the plastic to burn. So they cannot they can be melted, but they can at the same time they will release the toxic fumes. So that was the main disadvantages of the plastic. So we cannot always produce a new resins. So instead of that one, what we will do, whatever the plastic we all use, example polyethylene or a polytetrine. So all that type of that can be used for the some of the plastic are used for the PVC pipes. Some of the plastics are used for the coats also. Like that, we have to segregate the plastic, and it is used for those. For can used for the household things like uh, buckets or plastic we are using at present for the household kitchen items. So that plastic that can be, instead of getting always a new results, so that already used plastic can be used for this way. So cost of recycling, while recycling is a plus, recycling is a very costly endeavor. So recycling is also not easy, and it is somewhat costly. So that was for that only we have calculating the quantity, how much of quantity of uh, we are generating. That only we can do that one. Next, the recycling opportunity for plastics depends on the type of plastic and representing the origin of the resins. So, separation of the plastic, therefore, it's crucial for recycling of the separation is also. Next comes to reuse. So, reuse is nothing but uh, reusable containers, receiving and transporting your goods in a disposal containers builds up unnecessary waste. So it reuses somewhat a business, so that wants your waste also. Time you can get a little business by reusing the materials, by collecting materials. Get your materials to exchange also, and refill your office supplies, and donate the durable goods to a good cause. So like that, we can reuse the already used things. reuse of paper. So in the paper, what we will do it, the paper conserves the natural resources and saves the energy. So reduce the greenhouse effect. Reduce the cutting of trees. So that can be recycled the papers also, and keeps the landfilling space free from other types of trash that can be recycled. So if you left the space like that, it can that land will also reuse. So that recycling of paper natural resources saves energy. So instead of cutting of trees, we can reuse the paper already used, cardboard or all those. So glass is completely recyclable and saves the precious energy. Making products from the recycled glass uses less energy than starting from scratch. So, recycled glasses is made into new bottles, food jars. So, already used glass, what we will do, we will also separate in this. If the colored glasses are there, that will be separated and that can be used for the new bottles and also food jars. Instead of plastic, we can use the glass because it is more less temperature is required for the glass and will not pollute more. So that is about all the suppression and the reuse and the recycling of the waste. So today my half a topic is on the disposal of the waste. So all we have seen that the separation over and we have seen the recycling materials also seen. But in that we have seen that 50 to 60% are composting materials. So what do you mean by the composting? That is after the recycling and reuse materials are there, then the other materials were sent it to final disposal dispose. So there the disposing is done. So disposing, we are throwing out the which are not in use. That is, we are not used for the recycling and the reuse. That materials we are disposing. So uh, in that, what do you mean by the disposal of municipal solid waste? The collecting, treatment, and the disposing of solid waste material that is discarded because it is served its purpose or is no longer useful. So, why we are disposing that is no longer useful, that material that should be discarded. So, improper disposal of municipal solid waste can create unsanitary conditions, and these conditions in turn can lead to pollution of the environment. So, final target what we have to see that it should not impact to the environment. So, um, for outbreaks of vector-borne diseases, that is disease spread by rodents and the insects. So, by insects or by any animals that that should not spread to our that should not spread the diseases. So by that uh, uh, we are uh, we are we we are uh, we, uh, we are protecting the environment instead of uh, um, instead of we are protecting the instead of. So some of the animals you can say just like rats or squirrels, some animals rats like some squirrels or mice. So all those what people do, they will try to spread the diseases. So by the rats itself and creatures, the Surat, we got uh, uh, one disease, so that also spread it um, uh, throughout that place, and they got the uh, disease, so that they have suffered a lot. So waterborne diseases also, if we pollute the water also, that also spread to we will get diseases. So, the task of the solid waste management present complex technical challenges. So, they also pose a wide variety of administrative, economic, and social problems. So, that must be managed, and also that was disposal was given to the present waste management, solid waste management. So, that is also a complex challenge to become them. So they also pose a wide variety of administrative, economic, and social problems of the management. So, solid waste disposal management is usually refers to the process of collecting and treating of solid waste. It provides a solution for recycling items that do not belong to garbage or trash. So, solid waste management can be described how solid waste can be changed and used as a valuable resource. So, where we are before going to dispose, we are thinking of using of as a good resource. We are try to use it. If it is not in the in the form of composting, also we can use as a valuable resource. So here this the thing where it is thrown out on the garbage. Here we can see so that much of waste was put it on that here. So this is where this is taking uh, this machine is making that has a um, uh, compaction at this location. So this waste is taken to communal storage where they can segregate all this uh, paper and covers like this. So, in many countries, waste was divided into two categories. One is hazardous and the non-hazardous. So, where the disposals come in, before the disposals, that waste was segregated as hazardous and non-hazardous. So, and separate regulations are developed for the disposals. So, landfills were designed and operated in a manner that minimized risk to public health and environment. So new refuse incinerators were designed to recover heat energy for the waste. So some of the waste can be disposed directly and some will be put it in the incineration. So that the waste are provided with the extensive air pollution. So if we provide for the on the land, it will landfills were designed and operated in a manner that minimizes the risk to public. So that will, if you spend in more landfill, then it will pollute the environment. Soil. If you use the insulation, then it will create the air pollution. So controlled device to satisfy the stringent standards of air quality. So modern solid waste management plans in most developed countries now emphasize the practice of recycling. So that we are not directly putting on the in um, earlier what they have to use to put the waste direct on the land itself, they are to be used dumped on the land, so that that land had polluted, and also the water sources below it, it is also getting polluted, and also it if it is burned, it will creating the air pollution. So instead of these two methods, why they are used, they are what they are used, they used to recycling the waste reduction, recycling the waste, so that why recycling means the plastic will not mix into the soil, so that soil into the soil, so it will remains like that. So if it is there, if we are constructing any houses at that places, means that it will act as a imperial act, which will not take any water sources, it will not allow the water to go down, it will not also allow the and if it is used for the field also, it will, the plastic will not mix, so that will causes a pollution to the soil, and there that land will also not useful. So for that purpose only, we are using the separation and also recycling the waste, and also reducing the source of waste, and then incineration land disposals are done. So here we are going to see about the seven methods of disposals in the management. So first one is the preventing or reducing the waste generation. So from the basics, or from the starting itself, if we use less, and also reducing the waste generation, if we use less plastic, then there is no chances of recycling of plastic. So from the house itself, if we prevent some of the waste, then we can producing of waste will be less. So what do you mean by that? Extensive use of new or unnecessary products is the root of cause of unchecked waste. So if we have any, for example, at our house, if we have our own basket, if we take every time the basket itself, by going and taking their covers instead of their covers, if we take our own bag, then that we are reducing a plastic. So if we carry our own thing to carry a new products from the outside, then we can reduce the waste generation. The rapid population growth makes it imperative to use second-hand products or judicially use the existing ones because of it. So if we are making use of using of second-hand products, then there is no chance of getting of new product. So there we are reducing our waste generation. So there is a potential risk of people succumbing to the ill effect of toxic waste. So, disposing of the waste will also assume formidable shape. A conscious decision should be made at the personal and professional level to judicially curb the menacing growth of waste. So, um, disposing of the waste will assume a formidable shift. So if you take always, if you are taking a new product, then they are generating a waste more. So a conscious decision should be taken by the personal and the professional level itself, and to reduce the waste. So here different types out there. So to produce the zero waste, why we can use the eco bag here, and from by using of the wood we are making a toothbrush here, okay, and we are using a strong waste containers here, the storage collecting of waste here, and we can use of a uh, uh, metal straw. We can use we can use the metals also, wooden comb, and use of glass jars, and if, already used glass we can be used like this, okay. So make we can have instead of going outside, we can make our own products in house-made products by ourselves. By that only we can use the zero waste. So by using of all the used one, we can reuse all those. So that like that we can. So that is about the reduction of reducing of waste from starting itself. Next comes to recycling. So recycling straw. So all this we are serving the disposals. What are the major are there in the disposal? So next comes to the recycling. So recycling serves to transfer the waste into products of their own genre. So from through industrial processing. So the recycling are serves to transfer the waste into products of their own through industrial process. So paper, glass, aluminium, uh, and plastic are commonly recycled. So generally recycling things are nothing but paper, glass, aluminium and plastic are always recycled. So it is environmentally friendly to reuse the waste instead of adding them to a nature. So we are reducing the dispose by recycling all these things. So these are commonly used in our mm, uh, daily life. So however, processing technologies are pretty expensive for this if you want. So this to recycle all this, this machinery, they will be uh, costly, expensive. So here the recycling waste, you can see that plastic we can put here and the glass we can put here. Three containers are there. We can separated the dry waste and the wet waste and the plastic and paper separated bins like that. If we put like that, then segregation we are putting at our own places only. So here we doesn't require any machine to separate all those. Next comes to incinerations. So incinerations features combustion of waste to transfer them into base components. Incineration is nothing but burning of the waste and to transfer them into base components. With the generated heat being trapped from deriving energy, assorted gases and inert ash are a common byproduct. So if we make the incineration methods, if we use the incineration method, so what here we are generating the energy, heat energy, and also inert ash after the burning all the waste that is formed into ash itself that are common byproducts. So pollution is caused by varied degrees depends on the nature of waste combusted and incineration design. So use of filters can check pollution. It is rather inexpensive to burn and the waste volume is reduced by 90%. So um, instead of going to the incineration process, then if we reduce the waste, then it is better because it is rather inexpensive to burn and the volume is reduced by about, but we can burn easily, but it will polluting the environment. So here, so we have a better to avoid the incineration process. So the nutrient rich ash derived out of burning organic. So by incineration also we can produce nutrients rich ash so that can be reusable. So that waste can be facilitate hydroponic solutions. Hazardous and toxic waste can be easily be rid of by using this method. So any toxic materials are there by using this method we can be by burning it is it is burned out. So the energy extracted can be used for cooking, heating, and supplying power to turbines. So, however, strict vigilance and diligence should be exercised to check the accidental leakage to micro level contaminants such as dioxins from incinerator line. So here the waste we are burning it. So here from this we are getting the heat also generated, and also the toxic materials which are there that are burnt off, and also we can use that after burning. This is formed as a ash, ASH ash. Okay, that ash can also we can be used after that one. Here it was a form black colored ash, so that ash can also use. So 90% of the volume can be reduced by burning of the waste here. So next comes to the composting. So it involves the decomposition of organic waste by microbes by allowing the waste to stay accumulated in a pit for a long period of time. So what do you mean by the composting? The waste which can be decomposed that put in a pit for a period. So that form has a that can be decomposed and formed as an organic waste, so that the nutrient rich compost can be used as a plant manure. However, the process is slow and consumes a significant amount of land, so a lot of land is required, and also this process is slow. Biological reprocessing tremendously improves the fertility of the soil. So, by that, if you do the composting for a number of times, so that the fertility of land also soil also we are developing at the same time. We are producing the manure for a plants. So it is a drawback is it's a slow process and requires a more land. So here we can see the uh, waste in the bag that if we put into the soil, it will form like this manure. Next comes to the sanitary landfilling. So we have seen the incineration process, we have seen the composting process. Here, what we are seeing the sanitary landfilling. So this involves the dumping of waste into a landfill. The base is prepared of a protective lining. So how we are creating? We are creating the waste in a before going to dump into the land. That land should be a protective lining should be provided to that one, so that it acts as a barrier between the waste and the ground. So, if a barrier is not provided, impervious status is not provided, that waste which was generating some sort of, if it will consists of wet also, that wet content that from the waste will go into the soil. So that water should not go into the groundwater, so and prevents the suppression of toxic chemicals into the water zone. For that only we are making a protective lining on the pit. So waste layers are subjected to compaction and subsequently coated with an earth layer. Soil that is non-porous is preferred to mitigate the vulnerability of accidentally leakage of toxic chemicals. So here after laying of the waste, we will compact that waste and also coat it on the earth layer. So it also this poses non-porous materials, and also if there is any leakage, it will create toxic chemicals also. So we have to see carefully. Landfills can be created in places with a low groundwater level and far from the sources of flooding. So where there is a chances of always flooding. Uh, so some in some places, if a flood comes, means that water will go run off and will be get uh, into the sea water or the river water, so that it should not be uh, mixed with the natural sources. So it should be it should be away from the where the low-lying areas are there. So, however, a sufficient number of skilled manpower is required to maintain the sanitary landfilling. So, here it is the sanitary landfilling, this much of waste that we are generating. Next comes to disposal in the ocean. So we can dispose in the ocean also. Waste generally of radioactive nature are dumped in the oceans far from active human habitats. So that by a means of some ship or some other, we can take that barge. Okay, by means of a barge, we can take that waste into the sea and we can dump into the sea. So waste generally of radioactive nature also are dumped into the ocean from active human habitat. However, environmentalists are challenging this method as such an action is believed to spell doom for aquatic life by depriving the ocean water of its inherent nutrition. So here if we thrown that waste into the water, that here also the plastic will not melt into the major about the plastic itself. It will not at all melt in any soil also and water also. So here we are creating a problem for the aquatic animals also. So we have to see not to put throw this plastic into the sea. Next comes to plasma gasification. So plasma gasification is an environmental friendly disposable method. It is used to convert a commodity recyclable extracted from the municipal solid waste in the landfill into energy. So whatever the municipal solid waste are there, which are put into the landfill, that can be changed into the energy. So the carbon-based materials are exposed to high temperature and converted into syngas. So a gas which can neither be directly combusted or further refined into the chemicals and high-grade fuels. So the non-organic part of the waste is converted into slag, cooled, tightly bound solid waste which can be used in construction or a raw material. So which can be directly combusted, that used as a chemicals. If it is not a non-organic matter, that can be cooled after gasification, after putting into the machine, that fuel can be non-organic part that can be cooled and it can be used in construction as a raw material. So for construction, so industries that strive to achieve zero waste prefer this waste disposal method. So if this plasma gasification used by the industries, they can produce the zero waste. So by industries. So here the gasification method. So if we, here we are converting the waste into a fuel form. So this is about thing. So we have discussed about the definition of the solid waste, definition of the disposal of the solid waste, and methods of not the uh, uh, not the methods. We have seen about the effective waste disposal and management methods. So methods of management, seven effective management methods we have seen. So this type of disposals are to be done. So we are preventing and reducing waste generations, and also here preventive waste or reducing the waste generation here we are seeing. Also we are seeing for the recycling and materials, and we are seeing incineration method. We have seen sanitary landfill method, and also disposal of ocean disposal we have seen, and also finally we have seen about the plasma gasification. So all these have to be considered. So this about we have seen later we can see about the various methods of disposals, and what is the what is the method of sanitary landfill that we are going to see. So at last we have to see that they are producing the solid waste that should be taken care of some uh, should be taken care of, so that by for that only a management came, that is the solid waste management. So that waste management have created local bodies. Those are the municipalities, and also at the same time that some private also there to see the waste separation, waste separations are which are get the just a small business to them, so that they can segregate and separate the waste and can be sent it to the recycling, like that we are saying. So here uh, we have covered today, we have covered about the uh, we have covered about the uh, separation and segregation, and also recycling and reusing, and also composition and quantity of waste, and also finally today definition of the disposal, and also the how the uh, disposal of management taking place to dispose the waste. So all this was seen in this topic. So so in the why in the disposal we have to, before disposal we have to see the hazardous and non-hazardous materials also, and separate regulations also, uh, separate um, regulations that seen for the disposal. So we before going to the disposal, why they can reduce our waste um, by generating the waste. So by always taking to a new product, instead of taking always a new product, we can take a second hand product, so that that we can reduce the waste generation. So like that if you reduce the waste by ourselves, like that we can control the waste generation. So thank you.